Just because it's plastic doesn't mean it's fantastic, because trust and believe, I go ballistic if it's realistic. Welcome to the Triple Take. I'm Joseph.
I am flabbergastingly excited. Manny.
I'm Frank.
And today, the same Barbie.
The excitement is what got me, bro.
This is
This
is Margot.
If
without
it ain't
the Robbie.
plastic, believe it's fantastic.
I have planned this all day while I was at work.
Oh man, I'm crying.
But if you couldn't guess it, today we're going to dabble into the concept and the practice, and maybe some malpractices of plastic surgery.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Because it is, it has its ups and downs, and there's a lot more want than I believe there is the need of it. Because a lot more people want to do those changes opposed to need. Because it's important to have plastic surgery for reconstructive purposes, such as whether people have some actual serious deformities, or if there's accidents, things happen,
Like burns.
Correct.
Or fire or something. I think that's the first thing I think of.
Yeah, anything where people just need to recover from whatever trauma they endured. Because the body could only heal so much on its own. Let's be real. Someone else speak?
I'm not gonna lie. It sounded like you're gonna say something else.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was hearing you out, and I was
know,
ready. I was ready for
30 minutes
fire.
of sleep. I expended it in the intro.
I could tell there was a lot of emotion there. But for me, I guess the age-old question that between the three of us is: plastic surgery a good thing or a bad thing? I'm here to tell you it is dependent on the situation. Because, obviously, as Joseph previously mentioned, there are people that need plastic surgery for maybe an accident they've been involved in, maybe something genetic, something that's happened to them. Where in that case, I find plastic surgery to be a good thing. Now, when it comes to it being a bad thing, I say this, obviously this is my opinion. If I ruffle your feathers, consider yourself ruffled. But either way, Stop laughing. It's so funny.
Because I wasn't expecting you to say consider yourself ruffled.
Either way, in a bad sense, I find it that if you're a female or a male who is uncomfortable with the way their body looks and they want to change something about themselves in a quicker way than going the harder route, then I find that to be a bad thing. Not only for your self-image, but for yourself as an individual. Because we've spoken previously on this podcast about confidence and how much confidence could be a gift and a curse. Because on one side, yes, plastic surgery could help you in certain ways to make you feel like you got bigger, that other thing.
So let's paraphrase talking about exaggerated assets.
Exaggerated assets, as my colleague has said.
Co-host.
He loves that word. So for me, if that's what you're really trying to get at, to me, that's a bad thing. I don't think a person should have to change themselves to make themselves feel better or to please anybody else around them. That to me is something that is a damaging thing, not to your mental.
I'm gonna raise a question then before I give my thoughts on this. I want to raise a question. See, someone like that would say, well, I'm not doing it for other people. I'm doing it for myself.
I find it hard to see the difference of you changing yourself for other people and you changing yourself for yourself. To me, it goes both ways because you are changing in that sentence, you're changing yourself for yourself. If that's your justification. But at the end of the day, you're doing it so that way others could look at you differently. So either way you structure the question, others are still involved in that.
Yeah, but then what's the difference between that and going to the gym for the same reason?
That's why I said there's a quicker way of doing it or there's a harder way of doing it. And the harder way of doing it, in my opinion, is going to the gym, changing your eating habits, working on yourself because it is feasible. If you want a six-pack,
for most people,
for most people, for anybody, I believe. For anybody.
Not anybody.
All right, for most people. I won't speak in fallacies.
It's just the truth. Like
it's feasible.
It's disabilities.
Feasible for you. I wasn't speaking in that term.
But, I know, but I'm reminding you.
So for those people who can do that, like you should go that route instead of creating something that, the world, and this is the world, calling it. It's not just me, because I have a multitude of people that I've talked to that they consider an example, Kim Kardashian. They call her fake, and that's what that is. You could work the harder route, in my opinion.
When it comes to me, I don't feel that plastic surgery for vanity is a good thing, not only physically but mentally. Because and then I was hoping you would say this, but when it comes to, at least from my experience, for me seeing like videos and such, there's a very clear difference when it comes to someone using plastic surgery to like make themselves look skinny or fit or whatever. Granted, for you to maintain that, usually you have to go to the gym after you heal, obviously. Which, by the way, the healing process, ridiculously terrible. I've never seen something so bad in my life. That is terrible. When it comes to, even if it's for the same reason, even if it's for I don't know how to say that as a verb. Even if the same reason is for vanity, for surgery and exercising, let's say the hard way or easy way, even if they start that way for the harder way, eventually, if they continue, because it'll test you, because that reason isn't good enough to continue doing it. I've tried, and I've seen people do it and fail, but eventually it goes into, you know what? Like, you start loving yourself for the way you looked before, because that's like kind of like a hurdle or obstacle you have to pass to actually stay consistent and actually, love yourself the way you should, in my opinion. But it's just like, that's the difference. Like, that's why it's good to go through the struggle of it, because you kind of appreciate it more. Like, taking care of yourself and being healthy or whatever the case may be, right? And it leads to other good things like, what's it called? Like eating habits. Maybe it leads you into liking how to cook. Maybe it leads you into
Natural self-love.
Yeah, natural self-love, obviously. Planning your time better. All that. Like, it has a lot of benefits. Waking up earlier, going to sleep earlier.
Discipline,
Immense health
routine,
benefits.
time management.
There we go. Like, that's what I mean. Yeah, time management. Thank you. But
one thing I wanted to bring up, which I failed to bring up, was I'm pretty sure most people, whether they are, in a situation where they feel that they're not good enough or something of that nature, they would choose this option in the sense of they want to make it so that way they themselves or others see them in a different light. But in reality, and this is the truth, you are you and you are good enough. That's coming from me. I would never want to change anybody because you were born with what you were born with, and it's up to you, the individual, to change yourself into what you want to be, whether that's career-wise or, in this case, whether it's body or anything of that nature, appearance. So I feel like that should be another thing that should be stressed, is because a lot of people with which we grew up in this is self-image. Self-image has taken a whole new turn in recent years as we've grown up, and that only has increased the amount of people willing to do plastic surgery, so that way they could stay with the times. And that's not something you should do.
Because the thing is, there's levels to this, right? At least for me, it's just like, for me, like, seeing it. These surgeries are not cheap. Like, they're expensive. Like, they're at least, like, if you get it really cheaply done from a shady place, it's at least $3,000. That's not cheap for surgery, bro.
Some people even go internationally to do it, because that's an even cheaper option.
I was gonna bring that up because, but I'm gonna get to that. Hang on. It's just like, but like, when you're talking about the culture and the way it's changed, like, obviously, like, before, plastic surgery was always a thing, but it was only really done by like celebrities and like rich people that weren't even in the public. But like, over time, as the technology got better, it started getting more accessible, and like the amount of people in the limelight that were pushing this idea, like, more people started getting more accustomed to it, and it started becoming more normalized, right? But like, that led to a lot of body dysmorphia. Even after they do all these, they still don't feel like they look beautiful or anything like that. Like, it's just a rolling stone down a very steep hill. Like, because you're not really fixing the actual problem, which is like, you should love yourself no matter what you look like. Yes,
you can get addicted.
We've seen it. Like, we've seen like men do. I can't even talk about the men's surgeries, bro, because it's just like, those are crazy. So I'm just talking about the women one for right now. But granted, I am, when I say this about the women, I'm also implying the men part too. but it's just easier to talk about the women ones because they're less.
They're more popularized. They're more.
No, not even that, bro. They're just
Easier to talk about.
they're not as. How can I say this, bro?
No, I'm gonna just
What-
say it. I'm gonna just say it if you're not gonna say it.
No.
Bro,
Well, no, wait, hang on. What the surgeries entail is easier to express without talking about certain topics. Feel me? That I don't want to talk about. It starts with an S, ends with an X. You feel me?
Yes, I understand.
Yes,
No.
yes.
I
Okay.
I understand. I
And, like,
understood
the-
the whole way, which I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
no
yeah.
problem calling those people out because it's not like
Nah,
I
the
said
men- I
at
ain't
the
gonna lie, the
beginning.
men one is
it's
even
not
crazier to
it's
me
not
personally.
It's not just females. It's
No,
males too. Don't
It's
get
just more
don't get
common
it
with
twisted.
females. It's just more common with females because the popular in pop culture, with the limited amount of people that is shown in a very uh high place spotlight. Man, I can't think of the word. Bro. Like very prevalent people. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, very prevalent people. Most of those people that are doing those things that are very prevalent, even though it's not that big of an amount of people, is women. So, and then like you got things like the music industry, reality TV, Hollywood in general is just like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like it leads to body dysmorphia, which isn't the actual, which then kind of feeds into the actual problem. And then we, like I was gonna say, we see it where these ridiculous women, some of these women, like we know about these women with the like they get these surgeries and they make them like crazy sizes. That is just like at that point like it's a joke. Like that's what people view it as a joke, but like I don't, because it's like I mean in the beginning, yeah, but like when I start thinking about it, I'm just like, yo, this is actually like really bad because they want to do this. They think this will make them look better than they were before, and that's sad.
Not even that. They even use it as a way to say this is how you could get famous.
Or to be faint, bro. Yes, and it's just like in the things with these young kids. A lot of these young kids like want to be famous, so like, and they don't have that kind of like decision making of like what's good or not, you know, because they're
Yeah, to
younger. They don't
actually
they don't
give
have a
them-
developed frontal cortex.
To give them an actual thought process of what an actual foundation to anything really is. So it's
Values.
just like, oh, if I do this, I'm immediately there. It's just like just because you're there quickly doesn't mean it's going to last at all. Doesn't mean it's going to be worth anything, and that you're just taking a risk without what reward are you really reaping.
Yeah, that's why it's important to understand that the journey is even more important than where you get to, because that's how you learn, that's how you grow, that's the best part. Because like, what's the point of living and if all you're doing is living for the end, right? That just doesn't make any sense. So it's just like that goes deeper with me, right? Because when I look at this in a religious sense, right? This is my take. The body is a holy thing, right? It's something that God made. Like this is our body. We got to take care of it. This is something that He made us in the image of Himself, and the way He made us is important, right? So like when I see people not treating that the way you should, like loving yourself, it's not even about loving yourself. It's just loving the fact that God made you this way and it was for a reason, right? And obviously there's like a specific example, such as if like, let's say you were born like with like a messed up organ or something. Like that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about like you thinking that you're ugly because your nose is big. Like mine's big, who cares, right? My head is big. So it's just like, but it's just like, but like before, like let's say like someone with that kind of mentality would like want to change that, right? But thank God I have the recognition of like, yeah, but like what's actually good? Like what's supposed to look good? That's something that the culture decides. And like you were saying, like the times have changed. So what was attractive back then in terms of plastic surgery isn't the same now. So like you get it once and it's most of the time it's irreversible, or like you can't really go back and it'll look like as good. It'll look probably even worse. Now you're just stuck like this, and now you're even in a bigger rut because like now you feel like you can't even do anything. But you avoid all that by just loving the way you are now and like enjoying how you would look like if you put in the work naturally. And obviously this is all vanity, right? I'm talking all vanity here.
Because back then, by going more towards like, let's say 50s, 60s, and where plastic surgery kind of took place aside from reconstructive stuff, because usually back then when that first was introduced, it was out of reconstructive needs.
Yeah.
So let's say soldiers were fighting in wars or battles or whatever, and they suffered injuries.
Blown off chunks of meat.
Particularly,
flesh, I should say.
Yeah, it was mainly off of like facial injuries.
That too.
That's where you got a lot of the obviously making sure at least the functions that you would need to breathe, whether it be your sinuses and all that, your eye or whatever, making sure you don't have any infection.
Especially for your nose.
And obviously, back then, people didn't know how to deal with what they referred to as shell shock, which is modernly known as PTSD. And just to have a person with PTSD in those times and then looking like that, like no one wanted to deal with them, which, again, cruel of society, but that's just how the world works. And back then, it would just, again, be reconstructive in the sense of, hey, they'll have those prosthetics, those, whether it be porcelain or ceramic or whatever they used at the time, to then cover up. Sure, obviously, still it's fake. But hey, at least there's that
It's
illusion.
more of a functionality than what it looked like.
Yeah, you get that illusion that helps the perception, helps the healing process for that individual. Now, plastic surgery went from being such an exclusive thing back then for the right need, for the need of it, to then when you got to the blossoming of Hollywood, it became much more of a celebrity type thing. Because everyone wants to look younger, and particularly
I was about to
going through the women of Hollywood. The women of the spotlight, the limelight, their career was based off of just aesthetic and appearance.
The way they look.
That's correct. Someone as like Marilyn Monroe, for example.
This is where we get things like Botox, facelifts. Correct. Which is, bro, I saw a facelift like after surgery recovery. Bro, crazy.
Yeah, and then you get whatchamacallit. Then you have the dynamic shift between the need to the want in terms of plastic surgery. Where, again, people that would only perform, like to be a surgeon, you're spending years, decades of training, decades of studying, decades of practice.
Being a plastic surgeon is hard, bro.
Correct.
It's hard, bro.
Just being a surgeon in general.
Not gonna lie, Adam Sandler's Just Go With It made it seem easy.
Definitely not. You're dumb for that, though.
Moving forward. But now, me saying that plastic surgery, again, was a realm of science. Now, it's seen more as art, and it's crazy to think that you have surgeons, they don't see themselves as a surgeon, they see themselves as an artist. And their canvas is sculpting out the human body. That's crazy to think about. Be like, oh, I did this for this person, bro. And then they also have procedures done to themselves.
Especially when it comes to like bones and like nose and stuff.
It's crazy. Especially with some of the parts where, like a Brazilian butt lift, you're taking fat from some part of your body, putting it somewhere else.
Don't even get me started on that, bro.
Like, these surgeries, like, again, if you need, like, every surgery is going to have its own risk. Bro. Like, it's just the nature of the game.
Bro.
But if you, with how the increase of plastic surgeons that are out there, it's just because you have more surgeons, and now I always say, like, you have more quality of something, the quality of it will dilute. So you have people that just barely make enough to get the surgery that they want. Just because you get the surgery, especially if you're traveling, doesn't guarantee the recovery is going to go well. Doesn't guarantee that your body is capable of going any type of surgery, because before you get a surgery, you got to know if you got to do it, if you can do it, if you'd survive it. And at the same time, even the most talented of surgeons, especially when you're younger and you're getting these types of surgeries, you're still growing. Just because you get the procedures done, the procedure, however it's done, is going to be the way that it is. It doesn't mean your body's going to adapt to it.
But I really hope that if you're going to get surgery, that you at least wait till you're like fully grown. Like, I really hope that's like common sense.
Because, I mean, if you're going to get plastic surgery, like, obviously, like, at that point, the choice is up to you. But
I mean, yeah.
Hopefully, and be mindful and aware that do it to someone who's talented enough so where the procedure doesn't look like you actually got it done. So when you grow, it's not so much as constantly having more additions done. Like, it's one thing to maintain it, but so long as if your body maintains it for you. You know what I mean?
But it's not even that, bro. It's just like, you should know the fact that, yes, what you said, but you should also know the fact that that's not going to solve nothing. It just won't. At the end of the day, it won't.
I think, and this is, again, this is all just opinion based. You know, obviously people have their takes on it and we have ours. And for the most part, I think collectively see it as see it as a bad thing. There are some good lights to it. And I want to make sure we say those stuffs because, you know, Joseph was talking about the early 50s and 60s. And even nowadays, you know, there are certain people out there that have gone through traumatic experiences that have affected their bodies or their physical appearance to where plastic surgery has not only given them the chance to, you know, live and not and
live normally
and get to back to that normality after a tragic event.
Normal.
And that I feel is where those types of surgeons, those ones who do it for the people instead of and this is going to sound weird, for the people and not for the person. And what I mean by that is that
I know what you're
the person is the individual who wants to change their body to make themselves look a certain way. Whereas for the people, it's for those people that actually need these types of surgeries, so that way they can find that type of normality and live on. And I feel like, you know, we've kind of like shown the negative side of it, which is something we should harp on a lot, because in this coming generation, self-image is only going to increase in terms of
telling
like
you, bro,
cultural popularity. And
it's an attack on the body. It's an attack on the body, and I'm telling you, it's biblical. It's holy. It's religious.
and
It's the attack on the body.
I'm one of those people that, you know, I'm for plastic surgery for the people, but for the person I'm not, because
Okay.
I feel like, you know, when I was growing up, you know, I was skinny, super skinny. I was bare bones. My
You
boy
got into character on that one.
My boy, the only thing that was stopping me from looking like Will from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was the fact that I wasn't tall.
You were short, yeah. I'm about to
And
say.
you arms.
And I had 2 arms.
I forgot about that. I forgot I didn't have 2 arms.
But you know,
That's good.
so, you know, growing up, I found something that I loved in terms of sports and being athletic and going outside, because I wanted to, you know, gain some muscles. And I wanted to, you know, change the way my body looked in a sense, and, you know, make myself look like a little bit more fitter, a little bit more athletic, not just for myself, but for my health as well. Because that's something we should harp on too, is the fact that just because you get these plastic surgeries and you know, maybe you lose fat in yourself, maybe you do
Actually-
something of that nature, that doesn't, you're only hit one aspect. Your
reminded me.
health is still something that you have to worry about, you know?
No, you just reminded me of something. I remember when I said that there's men plastic surgery that I can't talk about comfortably. Bro,
I'll be honest with you.
No, you reminded me of something. Wait.
I can't say what I want to say.
No, you've been seeing those dudes that be getting
can't
surgery
you
on
say
their arms and muscles to make them look big.
Yeah. Oh, with the
Bro,
freaking
bro,
I ain't gonna
oil.
lie.
Bro,
That's gotta
what
be
is-
the most
what is
ridiculous
the
one.
What is the
Nah, I'm not
difference?
trying. I'm not trying to hear or judge. I'm just saying that. But like,
But I'm
to
going
me-
to tell you right now, what's the difference between what SpongeBob did with the anchor
that's
and
what,
what
I'm
you're
saying.
doing right now?
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's just like, bro, that just look, because like the thing is, like when it comes to we're gonna start
was
doing
fun.
words with his. You're gonna start doing words with his biceps and stuff. No, that's crazy. But
Anybody want to go to the juice bar? I'm sorry. I'll stop. Like,
yo, but like for like the women's surgeries, they at least try. I mean, not always, but they try to make them look proportionate.
sometimes
Proportionate.
Sometimes
That's what I'm
people-
saying. Not all the time,
people be asking for some outlandish stuff.
but you can. But when it comes to that type of surgery with the muscles, you can't. You just can't. Like you would have to actually work out to make everything else proportionate. But then you could have just done that from the beginning. It just doesn't make any sense. That makes
Like,
the least sense.
Am I
To me.
cuckoo? Am I crazy?
No, you're not cuckoo
See,
for Cocoa Puffs, bro.
Like it just
They
seems
are.
like it's a feasible thing to do. Like,
To not do, you mean? To not.
oh,
do.
well, I'm talking about
Oh,
going.
you
to the
mean
gym.
working out?
I'm talking about going to the gym.
If you want
working
that,
out,
yeah. But like
being
people want the
somewhat
quick,
active.
get rich quick. But like that's the thing. Like we live in such a get rich quick, get famous quick type of culture. Especially now with the internet, it's just like people just want to be the center of attention, like so bad, and they'll do anything for it. A lot of people would just do anything to do that.
My greatest pet peeve with plastic surgery. Granted,
Well, I'll tell you.
like I said,
I'll tell you mine right after yours.
you do what you want. No one's stopping you.
Yeah.
This is just advice from our.
As long as you're an
personal
adult.
opinions.
An adult.
As long as
that
you
can
make an
your own
educated
decisions.
decision, and that decision is that of your own. But my greatest pet peeve is that I found my love for the gym. I go to the gym. I'm gonna go to the gym after this recording. But how are you gonna go to the gym? It's fairly evident you've had work done. And you're doing whatever set you're doing, whatever workout you're doing, and whatever rep you're doing is done with such an exaggerated emphasis with the smallest amount of weight.
Boom.
Are you there for yourself, or
Are you there to perform?
No.
Nah,
Let
you
me
know what's
finish.
even
Don't
worse?
interrupt. That's not what I was going to say.
No,
You're either
he's
there
not.
for yourself, or you're there to advertise. Because what are you trying to do?
That's what he's gonna
Perform.
No, they ain't performing. They're advertising.
They're
Walking them
performing.
hip. No, they're
But-
trying to sway their hips like a billboard. And
Nah,
I'm like,
the wor-
why?
The worst I've
It's a
seen.
performance.
The worst I've seen, and this mainly, I've only seen mainly women do this, but they go to the gym, set the little things up, take a quick pic, get out. I was like, bro, why? This is like, why are you trying to make this front? Like, you just do what you want to do, and that's the thing is like about with social media and stuff like that. Like, it all adds a whole nother element to it. 'Cause that's basically like reality TV for these celebrities. Like, that's like the real life reality TV for them. It's social media to like put up this front, this facade. Like, you're fake. What you do is fake. What they think you do is fake, I should say. And like he said his pet peeve about that, bro. You know what's my biggest pet peeve? Is the fact that they go, like you said, they save up their little money. So this isn't a quick decision. This is something over time that they think about, which is worse. They save up their money to go to fly somewhere to get this done by some cheap person. Or hopefully, if they're doing it, they're making an informed decision, like Joseph said, and like doing it.
Educated.
That's very well known and like professional, but like not everybody does that. So they said, I just want it. So they go to get it, right? And they go. I mean, I can't even hold you like they go to DR. That's where I'm from. So they like to go, right? Because it's cheap, and like most people come back fine, cool. But bro, you don't know how the amount. Because I'm Dominican, right? Obviously, Dominican women do this, and like I'm talking about like older friends of my parents and of that nature, right? They know people. Not in my family, but they know people that have done this and they didn't come back because that BBL surgery is hella dangerous. Like, that thing is ridiculously dangerous. Before, it was thought to be a lot more dangerous than it needs to be. Like, before, it would be people thought it was 1 in 3,000 people didn't make it past the surgery. Right now, it's more like 1 in 15,000. Which is better, but still crazy. Like, that's like imagine something. This isn't even something you need, but you're risking a 1 in 15,000 chance that you're not gonna make it. And it doesn't matter how professional you are, though. By the way, which is even worse. Like, even if you're let's say a professional, done this a bunch of times, it's just the act of like doing the what's it called? Doing the fat embolism, that's what it's called. No, that's what you could get from doing it because they take up a piece of fat from somewhere else, right? And they poke a bunch of holes in it and just like do that, like in the area, right? And doing that, what a fat embolism is that when they do that, they might hit a vessel. And if you've seen a video, they just go crazy. They just go to town. They don't even like measure. They're going crazy there. It's like it's just let's see where I hit now. Like it's just like, and then if they hit a blood vessel,
just that description was funny.
If they hit a blood vessel and they insert it in there, it could literally clog your arteries and you just don't make it. And like, I've known people that have left kids, single mothers, and they left their kids without a mother or a dad just because of that. That's my biggest pet peeve. The risk just doesn't justify it, like, in my opinion, especially for that specific surgery. And that's, to me, the most common one. And it's just like, I'm just like, bro, like, unless you need it, like, which I doubt anyone would ever need that.
Well,
like that specific surgery. No, that specific surgery.
I'm saying it depends in the sense, and again, it depends how a person grows up. Because there are certain, let's say, like going off of your nose. Because I've heard stories of some women with bigger noses, and they were bullied their entire childhood.
I'm being bullied
I'm
right
using
now.
you as an example.
I'm being bullied right now,
okay. So
we're not using you as an example.
No, I'm gonna get a nose job now.
That's not a good. See, that's not a good argument.
No, let him finish. You haven't let him finish yet. Yeah,
because the bullying part.
Yeah,
let me get.
He already started off with a bad foundation, but go ahead, because he bullied me.
You're the one that said you had a big nose and a big head and a fat head. But whatever.
Do you agree?
I mean, I didn't
You're
deny
a bully.
it.
Nah, you're a bully, bro.
Yes, but I love you, and that's all that matters.
That's fine. I love myself too. Hopefully,
I hope so too. So, moving on. Or you get sometimes there are people that are really bullied from the beginnings of their self-awareness.
Michael Jackson. No, I'm saying Michael Jackson's a good example.
Where people get bullied for just one specific, minute feature.
We're Hispanic.
Not just us, but in general.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure the viewer got that. Like, the viewer got that.
If you're Hispanic, you understand. Go ahead.
I look very white. Anyway, moving on.
Joseph's Hispanic.
He's Hispanic, by the way.
Sí, hablo un poquito español. Anyway.
When I pulled out the español? That's crazy. That's a rare card to pull out, bro.
It's there in the deck somewhere. But after they go through, presumably, their lifetime, and they get an opportunity to correct that specific feature, let's say if it's just a simple nose job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that too.
Then
that's probably a lot. That's pretty common.
I would say that, not to say that the surgery is required, but that's something justified enough out of a want, if that makes sense. If it's something minute like that, they were bullied all their life for their nose, as an example, or whatever facial feature, because it's usually some facial thing. To then finally get the surgery and be like, hey, this is me. In terms of like people only focusing on the surface, and at least this person's just like, this is how I was always, and at least they were freed from that burden of being bullied. In those instances, again, if it's a simple surgery, not like a whole leg bullet, then I'm just like, I'm for it. Because at least mentally, not physically speaking, but mentally and psychologically, it did help that individual.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna give my final thoughts. My biggest pet peeve is, to me, I feel like people who are going to do plastic surgery, even if it's something, this is again my opinion, as minute as what Joseph just said, I feel like you as the individual need to love yourself and love yourself the way you are. I've been bullied for stuff. I don't have the best features in the world. Like, I don't want to change something about myself, because this is what makes me me. And I've always held that standard. And I hold that standard to other people as well. I wouldn't want to change anything about you. I wouldn't want to change nothing. Because what matters to me is the personality. What matters is the inside. What are you doing in life? That matters. That's what makes me distinguish a person, not your physical features. It's you are the individual. You make your decisions. You do what you got to do. And that's what makes you you. I don't have to change the way I look or something of my being to make me feel some type of satisfaction mentally. Because at the end of the day, there are people that will tell you, for this nose job, oh my God, I can't believe you got a nose job, la-di-da-di-da. But those are the same people that will go behind your back and be like, I can't believe she got a nose job. And that's
You hear about that?
You hear about that? Can you believe that?
Talking smack, because there's no pleasing everybody. There's
no
real reality.
And that's a good point. That's actually a great point, Frank.
Exactly,
there's no pleasing anybody. And the only person you should be able to please is yourself. And that is something obviously.
I know what you mean.
Certain circumstances. But
I know what you mean.
You should be
you should be happy with yourself.
Yeah, you should be happy with yourself.
That's the goal.
I spread nothing but positivity and positive vibes. And I feel like you shouldn't have to change anything about you. That's my biggest pet peeve. But to each his own. We're good.
If I had any set of words that I will stand on business, on my pedestal, on my podium.
Hit him with it.
No matter the good or the bad in life, look at yourself as raw material. The good and bad experiences of life will refine you. Life doesn't define you. You do. Words to live by.
Quote Joseph, 2025. Forevermore. Oh, was that Edgar Allan Poe? I'm sorry.
My version of that's forever and always.
Oh, there you go. You see? But either way, what are some of your thoughts about plastic surgery? Do you find it to be good, bad? Does it depend? Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Discord. Join the conversation. Comment down below about what you think about plastic surgery. I'm Manny.
I'm Frank.
If it's realistic, I go ballistic. I'm Joseph.
Remember, God loves you. Peace.